I'm going to review Gone Girl, Midsomer Murders, I don't know, John Barnaby's First Cases, whatever, Parish, and as you can see, Parish got bought on the stacks. And I'm not a huge fan of Midsomer Murders. I know a lot of people are, but I don't like the way it ends up, and I'll talk about that later. So first, I'm going to make a pizza for you. So
you don't want to prepare one.
Yeah.
It's already pre-prepared, but people,
Yeah.
the big chefs on TV or whatever do that.
This is going to go on the bottom side. The pancake side is going to go on the top. And then I'm going to put some...
Is that Catalina sauce or ketchup?
It's neither.
Oh, there you go. I would. So who makes that? Is it? It's not a craft special, is it? Let's just see.
I talked about it yesterday.
Primo. There we go.
And I'm going to put a little bit of extra seasoning on it. So that's some basil. That's some oregano, because honestly I don't find that stuff spicy enough, but whatever.
The ketchup's spicy.
Yeah, that's not ketchup.
Or the Primo sauce.
Pizza squeeze. So then I have a container here with stuff already chopped up. So I have some garlic, because garlic's good on a pizza, and some green onions.
Because that's good on pizza too. Any sort of.
Well, any kind of onions. And I have some yellow bell peppers and mushrooms.
Are those just button mushrooms? Or?
They are.
Okay. I don't know what the technical term for them is.
That would be it. And put them around all over the place.
Oh, I always like the bigger pieces.
I know you do. So that should be good. And then I'm going to put some cheese.
Armstrong, thanks to a Canadian company.
Oops.
Seems to have a maple leaf on it.
And just kind of mound it on the top, and then it'll just fall down on its own. And I'll come out and talk about this stuff in a minute. I'm just going to get this in the oven, and James is going to talk about probably politics.
Yeah,
In the
okay. Driving in the car today. Made the mistake of leaving the radio on CBC. 1010 on our dial. I don't know about your dial. And they were talking about foreign interference in Canadian politics. And there was one person who sounded very much in the humanities style, complaining about racialization when it came to complaints about foreign interference in Canadian politics. Okay, get off of that shtick about racialization unless it's actually applicable. So we talk about racialization when we're talking about the Nazis and taking out Jews and Gypsies. When we're talking about the southern states having slaves. When we're talking about ISIS having slaves, picking up slaves, and that's in this millennium, stuff like that. When you're talking about Japanese people wiping out minimum of 40,000 people in the space of a few days when they took over the southern capital of China, Nanking, in 1937. I remember it like, I wasn't born then, but I'm telling you, I didn't hear about that until the 90s. The 1990s, because the Americans have actually been covering it up because the Japanese were allies during the Cold War. They weren't able to cover up German atrocities because many of those were carried out by Jewish people, and Jewish people, quite rightly, blew the whistle on the Germans.
So that's James's pizza that he's eating today, but I'm making another one for him to eat later today that you just saw. And the crust is made half this, and some water to make it moist enough to put in the cast iron skillet, cast iron pan. And then I cook the one side until you see the bubbles coming up like you do pancakes, right? And then it started to get a little bit firm on the edges, and I just cooked the other side just a little bit, and then put it in to cool down and stored it in the fridge with another. So I made enough for a whole week yesterday. And I said, you know, if you did that on Sunday, if you're a student, then you could put the rest in the fridge, and you'd have your meals for a week all made. And it's a lot faster than ordering pizza, and it's easier,
a lot healthier generally, and
you know
a
what
lot
you're
tastier.
Putting in it, but
because I was surprised
you don't have to put this.
that.
I got this for, you can see, 75% off, and it was on sale to boot, so it was less than $1 for this box. And this was just given to me. I was very thankful for this because I can use this. You can see I made two. One was a very large pizza, well, 3 pizzas. One was a very large one, and then the 2 smaller ones. And I still have lots left. So one of these containers will do you all week for the pizzas. And one of these bags of cheese can do you all week for that size of pizzas. And again, I got this on really cheap. This was about $3.14, I think, for the bag, so on clearance. So really cheap. And then, I mean, you just slice up your whatever you want on your pizza ahead of time. And I wouldn't do more than a few days worth at once, you know, enough to fill this container, and that's good. And then, or whatever, you could put them in separate containers if you want to, different toppings. Because you might want different toppings day by day, right? For me, it's always the same. I like, for pizza, mushroom and black olive. And I used to like mushroom, black olive, and feta. I like salty pizza. And I like salty snacks. He's a sweet person. He likes the sweet, I like the salty. So how's the pizza today?
It's awesome.
All right.
You'll notice I cut it up. I ate it with a fork yesterday because it was crumbly. Yeah. I could have easily eaten this by hand, but I will be handling books. And
so you didn't want to get your hands messy?
No. I kind of try to keep my
So I'm going to put this in the fridge again. I just store the cheese when I get it on clearance. I get as much as they have on clearance, and then I store it in the freezer. If it's grated up like that, it works out great. And same with the stuff like this. Goes in the freezer just great. So anyway, James will talk about politics again, I'm sure.
Don't like to, but politics have a way of intruding on civilized people's lives. This stupid flunky is on CBC. I'd like to hear what he has to say about American, i.e. Trumpet-esque interference in Canadian politics. I don't think he'd like it. But if you complain about Chinese interference or People's Republic of China interference in Canadian politics, or South Asian interference in Canadian politics, that's racialization. Well, buddy, if you're listening, and any of his ilk out there listening, when you start singling out Donald Trump for that sort of stuff, and he should be, but not singled out, and letting the People's Republic of China get off the hook, and the Modi regime in India off the hook, you're a racist. You've got a double standard. You're a racist. I don't use that word lightly, but you're a racist. Do you understand? I don't want to hear you yapping that way. If it's interference coming from entities outside of Canada, especially when they're into, the Americans really aren't into colonization up here, not yet. Who knows what Trump has, and maybe he'll have his Mar-a-Lago 2 up in someplace like Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, so we can enjoy the bracing winters up there. Maybe even further, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. Or another place I visited once in wintertime, my parents lived up there, Timber Bay, Saskatchewan. Or even a place that I've just driven by. I think it's basically a fire tower. No, it wasn't that when my parents were there. There was a school there, Molinosa, Saskatchewan. Montreal Lake, North Saskatchewan. That's what Molinosa is short for. Yeah? Molinosa. And maybe he intends to put up a big Trump tower next to the fire tower. Now there might be something there. The fire tower might not be there. When I last visited there, it would be something like 1978. Dates do go back that far. But if Donald Trump is doing these sorts of things, I don't care if he's a white guy. I don't care if he's yellow as a Cheeto. I don't care if he's comes from South Asia. If someone's doing that sort of stuff and interfering in anyone's politics, but particularly in the politics of a relatively democratic society, I get exercised because I don't see race. Whereas he's got the kind of flunky that was on CBC, he loves racializing things into people of color, and he never really talks about it, but it'd be white people. Huh?
Keep going.
25 minutes?
16 left.
Well, used up a fair amount of time. I'd use it, have a chance there to chat down and stuff. I'd say, pardon me for chowing down while I'm eating, but I'm not going to ask for that. You don't like it? Don't watch. No. I could spend the rest of the time talking politics. I'd rather, part of the time, do a preview. Here it is. Check, eh? Check, check, check. Like Donald Cherry. Don Cherry. Check, check, check. Check. Maybe it's the way it should be said. Check. Not check. Anyway, I already looked at this language somewhat in the process. It's been a slow process of reading the New Testament in Czech. And I just saw this going for a song at the Sally. Going for a song at the Sally. There's almost a song in that. Figured I'd pick it up. It's going for $1. Pretty good nowadays. Prefer 50 cents, but what the heck. I think I'm going to get my buck's worth out of it. So, already started, haven't finished it. Gone through the vocabulary. There's about, did they say 1,800 or 1,400 words in the vocab? Now, they say the important thing with learning a language is actually the grammar and syntax. But that's in the short run. That will get you places, but not everywhere. Fact is, really what a language is about is living it, and really living it is picking up the vocabulary. And to a certain extent, idioms, especially in a language like French, where they don't have many words. They use a lot of idioms. Weird things like, man, that guy's like a hair in the eye. I've forgotten what the exact French is, but some guy said that to me once. He's a big Montreal Canadiens fan. He's probably talking about maybe Don Cherry, someone in the Boston Bruins, but it could have been the Philadelphia Flyers, because this goes back a way. And I said, and he said, oh yeah, well that's just a French. He didn't say idiom, but 1,400 words in the vocabulary or glossary. What do they call? Oh, they call it vocabulary. There we go, got that right. So when was this put out? 1958. Republished maybe 1974. Let's see if I remember that correctly. Published first 1959. Man, it was off by 1 year now. And republished in 1970. 64. I got that one wrong. 64, 15. Okay, it's off by 10. Anyway, it dates back quite a ways. This is the old teach yourself book format with the orange and black.
And there's
Look
the
at
finished
that.
pizza.
So how long did that take?
About 15 minutes.
15 minutes. See, I thought it was about 7.5 minutes.
It doesn't take long, and that's
when she was
including
working this one.
baking it in the oven, right? So that takes very little time.
Very impressive.
And then James has seconds here. So
Yep.
we'll put it there. You're wondering, oh, what's this unappetizing? Well, that's just, I haven't cleaned it up yet because I want to see just how much,
Cumulatively.
is in one bag of meat because there's so much. And I'm leaving the little pieces in the pods, if I think, but something like this, well, I can't.
You've already decided you'll never buy this stuff again unless
Never,
giving
never,
it away
never.
for a song.
No, it's not a good product.
So you're going to do some reviews now, right? Now you mentioned those
I will.
preliminary fashion.
If you're done talking about
I'm done talking about a preview of Czech. These other things we'll get around to, the Civil War Dictionary and Simone de Beauvoir. I've touched on them already, but there's a lot to be said about these books. Much of it political, and I'm sick of politics already, hearing that stupid CBC presumed expert.
Why do I chug that back? Not very good. I wouldn't recommend this product. It does not taste good. And the second ingredient, sugar. It's just... I mean, as far as I'm concerned, even if it does work, and maybe if you're a person who eats a lot of sugar normally, then it might. You might be able to drink that instead of your meal or whatever and go, okay, that's fine. And then maybe look at your diet a week down the road or whatever and say, could I make a healthier shake instead with maybe some zero cholesterol Norwegian whey powder or something, and that's sweetened with stevia instead of sugar, and with some real blueberries or other things in it, and put it in the blender. It doesn't take long to make things like that. It's like the pizza. It doesn't take long to make that, and it doesn't take long to make a good smoothie or shake. It's
or even a rough smoothie, which isn't necessarily good.
That takes a long time.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah. The juicing takes a long time.
Okay. No.
Because there's a lot of time involved with cleaning the produce and stuff. I
know, especially dandelions.
Yeah. Anyway, Gone Girl got top of the stack. It's I'm really, I guess I don't dislike Ben Affleck as an actor, but he's really not.
He's kind of like a non-entity, isn't he?
He's
kind of like
very
a zero.
handsome.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when I saw him on the top of the listing or whatever, and I don't think that much of Rosamund Pike or whatever her name is either. So
you got the blonde there?
Yeah. But anyway, so I would have thought, I don't know if this movie's going to be worth watching, right? Because both of these actors are maybe supporting actors. They're maybe not so good as lead actors, really.
And the trouble is when you put them together, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no one to lead the other person.
So, anyway, it's a good mystery. And all that I have here, they're all mysteries. But it's an interesting story, and I think anyone would enjoy watching it. I'm not going to give it away. It's because you might want to watch it. So, Midsomer Murders.
I just want to mention about having bad actors. I first noticed that. I should have noticed it earlier, but it was like 1976. I was already in my 20s. Star Trek, Star Wars, I should say. and you'd see Mark Hamill and whoever played Princess Leia on the screen together, and it was cringeworthy. And I'd be sitting there thinking to myself, get Han Solo in there.
Yeah.
Get C-3PO in there. Get R2-D2 in there.
Yeah.
Get Chewbacca in there.
Yeah.
Just someone who
Yeah.
can actually
Exactly.
act, for Pete's sake. Look,
That was almost 50 years ago. Still happening.
Now with this, I actually like the detectives in these Midsomer things. All right.
Is that the one with the two guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe it's out of date or something
And
like that.
James thinks it's decent too. But anyway, I like the mysteries up until near the end. They don't finish them off right. And I know what they're thinking when they do this. They have it's not only occasionally, it's like most of the time. It seems like it to me anyway. They'll have they'll arrest the guy, and then they'll bring him home, and they'll be looking through his things or whatever and talking to him, and it's like they wouldn't do that. They've arrested him. They're not bringing him home, he's gonna be locked up, and they're gonna go through his house and whatever without him there, or they're not going to bring him home after they've already, oh yeah, we figured out that you're the murderer, but we're going to sit you down so that we can give you the whole spiel of how we figured this out in your house or whatever. It's ridiculous. And I know that they're doing it because they want it to seem more like Agatha Christie or Poirot, how that'll happen, but that's a different kind of story. So when Poirot's doing that, they haven't arrested the guy yet. They haven't figured, Poirot, he knows, but he hasn't let on to the police that this is the guy,
There has to be a big showdown at the end, the big reveal, which really doesn't happen in real life.
No. But that's how it works with Poirot, is because it's the police actually they don't know yet. Poirot is...
And they'd never find out.
They'd never find out without Poirot, right? And that's why that works. And with Miss Marple, it's the same sort of thing, And I said Agatha Christie before, and I meant Miss Marple. And I know everyone makes that mistake. Everybody thinks, oh, Miss Marple, that's like she was writing herself as a character. But
apparently it was an aunt or something.
Yeah, I've heard that it wasn't her either, So... But everybody makes that mistake. Everybody thinks that.
Sure, that's what I used to think.
Yeah. So, but it's the same sort of thing with Miss Marple. She's not a police officer. So when she does the big thing at the end, well, that's acceptable. But with this doesn't happen. They're police detectives. This doesn't happen.
The way police do it is they separate, if they figure there's a conspiracy, or if there are people that are testifying, even if they're innocent, they separate them. They don't get them in the big reveal, they might set up something like
that too.
They'll be saying, okay, what do you say? Do you know that so-and-so said this about, of course they'll lie like crazy, right? So-and-so said this about you, And they try to get people that they figure were collaborators to squeal on each other, so on and so forth. So they separate them all. And you really have to do that, because especially if there's an innocent person who's going to be threatened by some creep, you don't want them climbing up because that a-hole is sitting there.
And I will admit that I've only watched half of these because there's 2 episodes on each disc, 2 mystery stories on each disc. And I don't have a remote control, so I can't select the next one. So I've only watched half on that,
and you won't be able to access it until we get
a remote control. Yeah, so that's why. Parish, this was incredibly boring. I didn't expect it to be, because I actually really liked this actor in Breaking Bad.
I thought he was scary.
He worked like crazy in that.
Yeah.
But whoever was doing the casting or whatever, picking out who should be in whatever part for that series, they did a phenomenal job. So and it's not like he doesn't work in this. He works fine. It's just he's
wasted.
Yeah, this show is not worth watching. at all.
These things
It's-
happen. You were reviewing something with the woman who played Bob Dylan
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Wasted in something that
Exactly.
she produced or
which
co-produced.
is even sadder, right?
Yeah.
But and she did a great job in it.
Yeah.
Not her fault.
Mhm.
But wow, that was bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the story is not believable, and there's really no good guys. I mean, you could say, oh well, Parish, he's a good guy. Well, not really. And maybe his family, well, they're innocents, but his son wasn't a good guy. And so no, there's really no good guys in this, and
Is he a
I
dirty
don't
cop?
like it. No, he's not. He's a driver.
He's
It's
just a
apparently it's from. I was reading the credits, and it's from the story, The Driver, or something.
Okay.
So, and they should have just called it that. I
The
don't know
Driver.
why they call it Parish. It's Parish that gives me nothing. The Driver. Yeah,
you
it's
follow
about the driver.
basketball, it might
Why
suggest
why
a
did
big
you change
black
the
guy.
title to Parish? It makes no sense.
Robert Parish, he's a big basketball player.
Stupid. But yeah, it's just it's serious bottom of the stack material. That was very boring.
I was even
Really
bored
hard to
with
get
it
through.
going on in the background, and I
Yeah.
was reading Civil War stuff or whatever.
By the end of the season, then I was like, okay, maybe we'll see where the story goes with the next. But I don't know how many people have as much patience as I do for television shows.
You didn't even fall asleep, as I recall, or did you?
Sadly, I did not.
See,
Because
I
it was
fell
that
asleep
bad.
several times.
Yeah, so that's all I really had to say about
Minute and a
those.
half.
2 minutes. So I'm just going to show that this can easily be picked up
Now that it's
and
cooled
eaten.
down.
Yeah, well, yeah, no.
Oh,
but
right, it's not going to
cool.
crumble.
Yep, not going to crumble. So if you want seconds right away, you can go right ahead.
I think I'm going to save that for later on today. We've got something extra special to look forward to.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show people the victory garden then.
There
So
we go.
there's the victory garden in there. I don't know if you can see it. And there's some tomatoes that very desperately need to be potted up into bigger pots. And here's some more of the victory garden in there with some of the tomatoes that have been potted into bigger pots. And I don't know, I have nothing else for a minute and a half. Do you want to talk about anything, James? Or no?
Got some garlic there.
Oh, yeah, I know. I should have chopped it up finer or whatever, but I didn't mince it. I
Generally
just
it's
sliced
mixed
it.
with the cheese, and that will buffer it, right?
Yeah.
But I got one in there without any cheese.
Yeah, I was a little bit sloppy about the cutting of the garlic.
Anyway,
So.
she was in a hurry.
Yeah.
So,
You got a minute.
a minute, eh?
Yep.
So stay tuned, Civil War. I'll be talking more about it. I was just suggesting the other day, it was amazing how many Germans fought on the right side of the Civil War. Lots of them. Hungarians, a few. Polish people. They'd failed in their revolutions of 1848. I think those were relatively enlightened revolutions.
So you were
And
saying
they
the
came-
good Germans ended up in America before
Well,
yeah,
a lot of
before the war.
there were a lot of Germans who didn't come from Germany directly. They were in Pennsylvania. They were fighting side of the north.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, that it?
Yeah.